Alright, this is a quick little blurb on point-slope form, which is something you've learned before, but it may be a while, so you need a review on it. Point-slope form is an alternate way to write out an equation for a line, or look at and pull things out so that we can graph an equation. The one we're more familiar with is slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. Point-slope is a little different. I actually think it's easier. Okay? And easier especially when you're graphing and writing equations, because it requires less work. The actual equation is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. M is your slope, and then you will have values in there for x1 and y1, and that's any point on the line. Okay? This is why I think it's easier, is because it can be any point on the line. It doesn't have to be a specific one. With slope-intercept, which is the one we're more familiar with, you have to know the y-intercept, and that's what b is. But for this one, for point-slope, x1, y1 can just be anything as long as it's on the line, and you fill in those values. We're going to do a real quick example. We're going to pull out the slope and the point, and I'm going to show you a trick. Okay, here's our example. Y minus 7 equals negative 2 times the quantity x plus 1. Now, if we're looking at our problem, m is out in front of the set of parentheses, so our slope here is negative 2. It's really easy to pull that out. The point in our problem, our equation, notice that they were both minuses, both negatives. So if I have a negative, that means I'm going to pull it out and make it positive. If I have a positive, I got to switch the sign and make it negative. That's a catch. That's a trick. That is one reason some people don't like this, is because they have to switch the sign and they forget to do that a lot. So our point in this case, that's plus, we're going to make it minus 1, because remember the x is over here, and the y is over here, and the y is 7. So if I were going to graph this line, I would plot negative 1, 7, and then I would count my slope of negative 2, which is really negative 2 over 1. And that's how I would graph that and pull that information out. Now the trick I was going to show you is that if I gave you point slope, you can very easily make that slope intercept if that's what you're more familiar with. So if we have y minus 7 equals negative 2 times x plus 1, all we need to do is simplify to slope-intercept. Usually it's about 3 steps. Distribute, add or subtract to the other side, and bam, you're there. Okay? So here's our original problem. We're going to distribute the negative 2 through. Y minus 7 equals negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Most people forget to go to the second one. Negative 2 times 1 is minus 2. Then we add 7. Y equals negative 2x. Negative 2 plus 7 is positive 5. Well, there's slope-intercept form if that's what you're more familiar with. When we graph them, you will get the same line. It will be exactly on top of each other. Okay, so either way is fine. For me personally, I like point-slope form better, but for a lot of people, slope-intercept form is fine. It's easier, it's more familiar to them. So whatever one you want to use is fine, but I do want you to be familiar with point-slope form.